is rest in peace boxing. Is boxing dead now that Money Mayweather is gone? How can boxing survive? I mean, the UFC is barreling down on them, guys. I mean, when I say barreling down on them, if you remove that 4.6 million buys of Maypac, the UFC beat them 14.3 million buys to 6.4 million.
When we get done with this pound for pound list, I'll be very interested in hearing why you think that is happening.
I know exactly what's happening, but we'll go on into that, like as you said, in a minute. And that is my top. I bet number 5. I forgot I didn't give you number 7. I have Timothy Bradley. Timothy Bradley at number 6. I'm sorry, 7 was Alvarez. Timothy Bradley at number 6. He's impressed me that much, guys. This is a man that holds a victory over Manny Pacquiao. A lot of people say, you can say, well, Pacquiao got robbed. Say what you want. He stood in that pocket and traded with Pacquiao for 12 solid rounds. All right? That in itself is a victory to most guys, especially to a guy that carried a whopping 12 knockouts into that fight for his career. All right? Now, I don't know if the professor was in the group whenever I announced that Bradley would knock Rios out. I got laughed at. I got laughed at on Twitter. And I patent the precision prediction. You'll see the little R up by it most of the time on Twitter or Facebook or whatever if we post it. It's called the Precision Predictions by the Prophet. And thank you, Mike Greenberg. And, for the Prophet, which it's still Casey Prophet. But I patent that Precision Predictions because it took off once I predicted him to have the knockout over Rios. And Rios had never even been down, much less knocked out. He'd been in there with some warriors. He really had. He'd been in there with some good fighters. And Bradley knocked him out. He finished him. I had a big parlay ticket, and I was at that fight. Me and Paul and him was. And I played Lomo and Bradley under 10.5 rounds apiece. Both of them got it, and it paid, I think I bet $500, paid back $22.75, something like $2,275, something like that. Wasn't bad, But I believed in Bradley to get that knockout, and I believe in Bradley, which like I said, we got a 3-part series coming up on Brad Pack 3 or Pack Brad 3, whatever you want to call it. I don't care. Tim Man 3 or Manny Tim 3. I don't care. I mean, it's guys. I've heard a lot of bad things about. He should have fought Crawford. He should have fought this guy. He should have fought Amir Khan. He's fighting the best welterweight in the game right now. Pacquiao is fighting who I think is the best welterweight left in the business right now. I don't know how the professor feels, but I think Bradley is the best 147-pounder out there right now, with Teddy Atlas in his corner.
I don't feel qualified to say that exactly. I'd say he's definitely in the discussion. But I did want to ask you, what was it about his fight with Rios that was the key? Was it that Rios had been in enough wars that you felt that the attrition from previous fights made him vulnerable in this one?
Well, no, what it is Bradley has power. Don't get me wrong. Bradley had the power his whole career. What Bradley's problem was not getting full extension on his punches and not setting traps and not sitting down on his punches. You know what I'm talking about? He never, ever, if you look back at like Diego Chavez, the fight against him, even the 2 fights against Pacquiao, the fight against Providnikov, I mean, we can go on and on and on and on and on his fights, and you'll see that he refused. He never sat down on his punches. Punching power starts at the feet, guys. That's where it starts. Very few fighters have enough strength in their shoulder to their hand to knock people out with one punch. Okay, and it was an accumulation of punches as well, but it was body shots. And if you watch that body shot that put Rios down, he sit down on that punch big. He set a trap for it. Teddy Atlas is a master at teaching fighters how to set traps. All right. And I told a couple people on a chat group that we had on Facebook. It's called the Fight Serves All-Stars. Fight Serve All-Stars is what they called it. and some of the elite, most knowledgeable people that I knew from the groups. And I didn't even start it; somebody else did. Then I got into it with all of them when I opened Fight Serve back up, and they all wanted to be paid a bunch of money right out the gate. And when I say a bunch of money, I'm talking about like 6 digits a year, but right off the box. Whenever I'm trying to get a brand new company off the street, which is neither here nor there. They're all good guys, and that's all been settled. So that's all, it's over and done with. But to make a long story short, I told them what would happen, that fight, that first time ever, since Bradley was a kid, that you will see him starting to set traps. And setting traps ain't just what most people, what a lot of the fans think. Traps can be set 1, 2, 3 rounds long. You can throw a 1-2, 1-2, a 1-2, a 1-2, a 2-4, a 2-4, a 2-4. Then all of a sudden, when you come back with that 1-4, he's not expecting it. You see what I'm saying? It's not expected because for all the fights, you've been hitting with the 1-2 or the 2-4. You see what I'm saying? You've been coming with an overhand right and a left hook to the body. You know what I mean? But when you come back with a jab, a straight jab, then hook to the body with the same hand, he wasn't ready for it. The only thing he'd followed that jab up prior to that round, if you go back and watch that fight, he'd followed his left jab. He'd double pumped it a couple of times, all right, and then followed it up with either an overhand right or a right hook or even a right uppercut a couple of times to the body. He never followed it with the left to the body. What do you do? What happens when a fighter throws a jab? An orthodox fighter throws a jab. It's natural instinct for the right hand to come up to block that jab, right?
Right.
What happens? He's wide open for a left hook to the body, right? When that happens.
Right.
Okay, now, and that is the fireman's speech that Teddy gave him. That's exactly what he was telling him to do. As I've touched on before, people at this day and time, they got a man in Teddy's corner too. We just don't know it. What I mean by that is they can hear Teddy by watching the TV. You see what I'm saying? By somebody sitting in the back watching TV, they can text message a guy that's sitting in the corner down there and say, hey, here's what he's going to try to do right here. You see what I'm saying? This is the conversation they had in the corner. That's why he gives them the fire. That's why you hear Teddy talk off the wall a lot in the corner. Teddy Atlas, to me, is probably the best trainer in the game. You don't know the truth about it.
Strategically, he really seems to be. But I would like to add a non-strategic point. I think that Timothy Bradley was just physically stronger than Rios, and he was able to bully him back.
He is physically stronger than Rios overall. And you got to figure size-wise, they're about the same. But Bradley's put on a lot of muscle in the last 3 years. All right, a lot of muscle. When I say a lot of muscle, I'm talking maybe 2 inches on his biceps. His trapezoids have gotten bigger. Everything's gotten bigger on him, if you noticed. He's gotten ripped, which means that's why when he said he wasn't, he made a hint about it, and yes, it was in passing about going up to 160 and fighting Golovkin. I don't know if you heard that. Did you hear about that?
Yeah, I've heard it. I advised him not to do that.
Yeah, Teddy advised him to. Don't worry, he's not going. Teddy done told him, hey, listen. And Teddy is one of Gennadi's toughest critics. He really is. That's no joke. And, but Teddy's done told him, listen, that guy's the truth. And guys, if y'all don't think Gennady Golovkin's the truth, then you're only fooling yourself.
Yeah, well, whatever Teddy has about Golovkin, whatever criticism he has, I don't think it's strong enough to put his man in against him in the ring.
Exactly. Teddy's no dum-dum. Okay? By far, he's no dum-dum. Probably the dumbest thing Teddy ever did was get back around Mike Tyson without his gun in his hand.
Yeah, well, that was a good way to face Tyson.
Yeah, you've heard that story, I'm sure, about Tyson grabbing his. But
of course.
And a lot of people don't know that story. It would amaze you the people that don't know that story.
Go ahead, tell it. But when you look at the reason, it may be mitigating circumstances.
That's why I don't really want to get into it. But I'll tell it.
Okay.
I'll give the short version of it. Guys, Mike Tyson had been brought out of Brooklyn. All right. And he was not. You got to realize where Catskills is, okay? He's up here with a bunch of white people. He's lost, in essence. You're talking about a 14, 15-year-old kid at the time. I think he was 15 when this happened. Is that about right, Professor?
No, he was a little older than that. He was already a pro because Teddy was fired after that.
Mm-hmm.
Because Teddy was his trainer, and I believe Teddy was his trainer.
Teddy was his amateur trainer.
Already a pro. But Cub fired Teddy for that.
Yeah, what happened, guys, was Teddy's niece. Actually, I think it was his wife's.
It was his niece.
Yeah, his wife's niece by blood, but his niece by marriage. And anyway, make a long story short, Tyson had made a pass at her and touched her. Nothing bad. I mean, he didn't stick his finger in her. He didn't do nothing like that. I mean, thank goodness this is explicit, but he didn't do nothing like that. Well, Teddy pulled a gun on him and told him, I'll kill you. If you ever even look at her again, I'll kill you. Well, Customato fired him over that. And Kevin Rooney took over with him, and Kevin Rooney done a marvelous job with Mike. I mean, but it was all part of that punch system that, you know, that he had. And when you go back to Cuss's system, I mean, Cuss, hell, he trained the two youngest heavyweight champions of all time, you know, with that system. So it's hard to degrade that system.
Hey, Prophet.
Yeah.
You said that Kevin Rooney did a great job with Mike Tyson. Do you think he did a great job with Alexis Aguero too?
Who, Rooney?
No, I'm making a joke here. Remember that big right hand that Aguero hit Kevin Rooney with?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, I don't. But Aguero, that's another time for another day. I'm not going to talk about Panama Lewis on here. I called it a big stink before with some friends of mine, and we still ain't talking to this day because of it. But anybody knows me, all my listeners know, I'm not a fan of Panama Lewis's. I really ain't. I'm no fan of Panama Lewis by no means. It has nothing to do with his boxing knowledge or his skill. The man is a decent trainer. He's a very good trainer. That ain't my problem with him. My problem with him is Billy Collins, guys. Plain and simple. That's my problem with him. What he put in that water I don't give a shit about. But to kill that boy, did he kill that boy? No, he didn't kill him that night. But that boy committed suicide. How many months later was it, Professor? It wasn't long.
I don't remember. I think it was within 6.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't long. That's my problem with him. And it wasn't Resto that I have the problem with. It's Panama Lewis. I mean, that's just me. He's the only trainer I can ever think of that's been to prison for pulling padding out of a glove. You ever heard of anybody else going?
I haven't.
Me neither. As far as I'm concerned, he shouldn't be allowed back in the gym.
But somebody should have considered sending Margarito to prison for it.
Hold on just a minute. Guys, we're getting ready to break for a commercial. I'll be right back. Good afternoon, America. This is the Prophet here. How y'all doing today? I'm here to tell you a little bit about Just Beds. That's Just Beds for America. That's right. You heard JustBedsOnTheWeb.com. Just Beds, home of America's mattress. 6 great locations here in the CSRA to choose from Augusta, Grovetown, Evans, Aiken, North Augusta, and Sweetwater. Right now, they are having their biggest sale of the year. Don't miss out. Up to 36 months, interest-free. A Serta Perfect Sleeper Queen mattress as low as $287. You heard me. A Serta Perfect Sleeper Queen mattress as low as $287 today. Don't miss out on this sale, guys. It's the red tag year-end clearance from Just Beds, home of America's Mattress, the CSRA's #1 mattress store for over 20 years. That's right.